Imagine standing on the rim of the Grand Canyon, one of the largest and most awe-inspiring natural wonders on Earth. And instead of seeing layers of ancient rock and the winding Colorado River, you're staring at an endless, shimmering expanse of wobbly, brightly colored jello. The sunlight would dance across the surface, sending strange, jewel-like reflections into the canyon walls. It's an absurd sight, but let's try to imagine what it would take to make this happen and what might follow. First, the logistics. The Grand Canyon is enormous, stretching about 446 kilometers long, up to 29 kilometers wide, and over 1,800 meters deep at its deepest points. It's not just a hole in the ground, it's a vast network of cliffs, plateaus, ridges, and tributary canyons. To fill it with jello, we'd need to pour in over 4 trillion cubic meters of gelatin mixture. That's more than the total volume of all the fresh water in Lake Michigan. The amount of sugar alone would be astronomical, requiring a global mobilization of resources. Every sugarcane field and gelatin factory on the planet would have to work for decades. And then, of course, we'd need enough boiling water to dissolve it all. Heating the mixture would take energy on a planetary scale. If we could somehow create and transport that much liquid jello mix to Arizona, the next challenge would be cooling it before it ran off or soaked into the porous rock. In reality, the Grand Canyon is not watertight. Its layers of sandstone, limestone, and shale are riddled with cracks and cavities. Without lining the canyon with some sort of giant waterproof barrier, the jello would simply seep away long before it could set. But let's imagine we cheat the laws of practicality and magically make it work. Overnight, the canyon solidifies into the world's largest dessert. From above, it would look like an alien landscape, a smooth, glistening surface filling what was once a rugged, empty void. Helicopters flying overhead might create ripples that travel across the entire gelatin sea. The scent of artificial fruit flavoring would drift for kilometers. Wildlife in the area, from curious birds to squirrels, would cautiously approach, maybe take a nibble, and then retreat in confusion. Larger animals like deer or mountain lions might avoid it entirely, their instincts unsure of what to make of this strange, quivering terrain. The weight of all that jello would be staggering. Gelatin isn't as dense as water, but in such massive quantities it could exert immense pressure on the canyon floor and walls. The elastic nature of the gelatin might even cause slow, deep oscillations if a large enough disturbance occurred, say a rock fall or even an earthquake. Imagine waves of jello rolling like slow-motion tsunamis, slapping against the canyon stone walls with a strange, muffled thud. People would, of course, want to interact with it. Tourists might try walking on it, only to sink in a few centimeters before bouncing slightly. Some might bring giant spoons or inflatable rafts for the ultimate absurd recreation. The Grand Canyon Skywalk, normally offering a view of dizzying depth, would instead hover over a glowing, jiggling surface. Social media would explode with videos of people belly flopping into the gelatin or creating massive splashes. But problems would arise quickly. Gelatin, especially in the open desert sun, is not built to last. Under intense Arizona heat, the upper layers would start to melt, becoming a sticky syrup that would attract swarms of insects. Within days, the once pristine surface would turn cloudy and discolored as dust, sand, and bits of debris settled into it. Microbial growth would set in, and the world's largest dessert would rapidly become the world's largest biohazard. The smell would turn from fruity sweetness to something far less pleasant. Wind would carry the odor for kilometers, and cleanup would become a monumental challenge. Removing trillions of cubic meters of rotting jello would require either an industrial-scale melting operation or an equally absurd plan, perhaps turning it into biofuel. Even then, the environmental impact would be enormous. The sugar content could seep into groundwater, affecting ecosystems for years. And yet, in this ridiculous thought experiment, there's something oddly poetic. The Grand Canyon, carved over millions of years by the relentless flow of water, suddenly transformed into a massive, shimmering, man-made creation. And just as quickly, nature would begin reclaiming it. The jello would melt, seep away, be eaten, and eventually vanish entirely, leaving only traces in the soil and perhaps a faint artificial cherry smell lingering in the rocks. In the end, the canyon would remain, its ancient walls still standing, unimpressed by our bizarre sugary stunt. The Colorado River would continue its work, cutting deeper into the earth, as it always has. And we'd be left with the realization that while we can imagine filling the Grand Canyon with dessert, it's far more impressive and far more humbling, just as it is.